What happens when an elderly mother discovers her own son forged her will? He had no idea her response would turn the courtroom into a stage where everything flipped upside down. What happened next left everyone speechless. They say kindness always comes back to you. But, baby, let me tell you something. Sometimes it takes a detour so long, you forget what you were waiting for in the first place. Name's Bernice Wilson. I'm 68 years old, got arthritis in both knees, veins in my legs that map out my whole life story, and a heart made of gold that folks treat like it's made of plastic. That morning, I woke up like I always do, sick sharp, slipped on the same housecoat Joe used to kiss me through every morning before heading to work. God rest that man's soul, he called me his cinnamon queen. I made turkey sausage, toast, and his favorite vanilla oatmeal, the one he used to call soul in a bowl. I even set the table with my fine porcelain plates, the ones rimmed in gold. I had been saving those plates for 20 years, for something special, but I guess I missed the memo that I'm not special, just furniture. I laid out the breakfast with love, and Tina, the woman my son calls wife, didn't even blink. She glanced over the food, rolled her eyes, and hissed, "Not this grandma diner nonsense again. Really?" Then came Jerome's voice from the living room, dry, bored, like I was interrupting a TED talk on how to be ungrateful. "Mom, we don't need all this every morning. We're grown. This isn't Buckingham Palace." And right there, something cracked. Not loud, not sharp, but real, like a plate in slow motion. Still, I smiled, the kind of smile black women wear when we've had enough but ain't ready to explode. "I just wanted y'all to feel at home," I said quietly. He didn't even turn around. "We are at home. Problem is, you don't know when to leave." That was the moment it hit me. All these years of giving, cooking, cleaning, loving. I wasn't the home, I was just the wallpaper. Around noon, they were on the couch watching TV. I tiptoed past them to do some laundry. But Tina, she popped up like a cat ready to pounce. "Don't turn on the washer, we're relaxing." An hour later, I asked if they needed their shirts pressed, just trying to help. That's what moms do, right? Jerome stood up like I had just interrupted the State of the Union. "Mom, seriously, can you just go?" "Excuse me?" He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Leave, old lady. We're fine without you. Go to your room or wherever it is you disappear to." I didn't yell, I didn't throw a dish, I didn't beg. I walked, quietly, back to my room, sat down on the edge of my bed. And for the first time in a long, long while, I didn't cry. There was nothing left in me to pour out. I stared out the window at the backyard, the same backyard where Jerome used to run in panda pajamas, where I held him through every scraped knee, where I pushed him on a creaky swing until the sun went down. And all I could think was, when did my baby decide I was a burden? What happened next changed everything. You won't want to miss how this unfolds, because the pain, it's just getting started. And the truth, the real truth, it doesn't let you off easy. 2 hours after breakfast, they packed up and left. No goodbye, no take care, not even a fake "we'll call you." Just slammed the door so hard, my windows rattled, and the flowers on the windowsill gave up and fell over. I watched their car vanish around the corner, and you know what I thought? Not where they were going, not who they were seeing. I just sat there wondering, how do people sleep at night with hearts that cold? I walked into the kitchen, and there it was, a note, slapped on the fridge like a warning label, crooked under a Vegas souvenir magnet. Funny enough, a magnet I bought for Tina years ago. She left it there like a signature on a contract I never signed. The handwriting? Sloppy. Entitled, "We'll be gone for a week. Please don't touch anything, especially the electronics or our bedroom." Their bedroom, in my house, like I'm the tenant, not the woman who signed every mortgage check, scrubbed every tile, and slept on the couch half my life just to make room for my boy when he was sick. I wasn't angry yet, not fully, just trembling. You ever walk around your own home and feel like a stranger in it? Like your own memories got boxed up and replaced by somebody else's rules? That's how I moved through that house. Quiet, like a ghost too polite to rattle chains. And then I saw it. Their laptop was still open, logged in, sitting on the dining room table like it owned the place. Normally, I wouldn't have touched it. I was raised better, raised on minding your business and respecting privacy. But respect is a two-way street. and they'd already bulldozed that road months ago. So I walked over and looked. The screen showed a bank portal, big bold letters at the top. Power of attorney, Bernice Wilson, retirement account. I froze. My full name, my social security number, and underneath, authorized recipient, Jerome S. Wilson. Status, processing. Processing. He was trying to take control of my pension, my money, without my knowledge, without my permission, without so much as a, "Mom, do you mind?" There was no pretending this was about helping me. This was control. This was theft, dressed in family clothing. My hands were shaking. I pulled out my old flip phone. Yes, I still have it, and took a picture of the screen. Not because I knew what to do with it, but because some part of me screamed, "Don't let this slide." I headed upstairs like a shadow, quiet, controlled, but my stomach was in knots. That's when I noticed Tina's purse on the couch, wide open, like a trap. I shouldn't have looked, I know that, but something told me, whatever was in there, it wasn't hers. And sure enough, nestled between her gum wrappers and a half-used hand cream tube was my passport, with a folded document tucked inside. I opened it. My hands went ice cold. A will. A copy. Typewritten. Neatly formatted. Legalese all over it. With my name. And a signature that looked almost like mine. But too clean. Too perfect. I've been writing my name for 68 years, and I ain't never looped my B like that. The will stated, in the event of death, all assets, property, accounts, life insurance, shall be transferred to my beloved son, Jerome S. Wilson. Non-contestable by other family members. Non-contestable. They had planned it. All of it. While I was frying eggs and folding towels, they were writing my exit story. In ink. I stood there, holding that paper like it was on fire. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear something down, break every plate in that cabinet, but I didn't. Instead, I walked to my room, the same room I once shared with Joe, the room that still smelled like lavender and old prayers. I opened the old wooden box where I keep his letters, wedding photos, and every kind word he ever gave me. And I placed the will inside. Then I sat down, and I stared in the mirror for what felt like hours, and for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the woman looking back. You think that was rock bottom? Baby, that was just the ice cracking. What's coming next? It's fire. I made a decision that day, and I didn't whisper it. I was done being silent. Stick around, because what you're about to see is what happens when a mother turns into a storm. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. And it wasn't the alarm or the birds or the traffic that shook me awake. It was something deeper, like the world was tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Time to look, Bernice, really look." So I did. I stood in front of my mirror, still in my robe, and staring back at me was a woman I barely recognized, lips tight, eyes dark and heavy from too many nights of holding it in. Skin a little softer, yes, but the fire's still there. You know what I said to that woman? "You're a queen, just temporarily off the throne." I grabbed my best coat, the one I wore to Joe's funeral, and headed straight to the bank. Even in the lobby, I could feel my heart racing, like it was trying to jump out and yell, "Y'all really believe that signature nonsense?" A young teller named Sharon greeted me. Sweet girl, always called people "hon," like she was running a diner instead of a branch. But when she saw my last name on the screen, that smile slid right off her face. "Oh, Mrs. Wilson, you're back? We thought you were on vacation." Vacation? I raised an eyebrow so high it nearly touched heaven. "Sweetheart, what kind of vacation starts with your son stealing your name and ends with you in a bank lobby ready to raise questions?" She blinked. "Well, I mean, your son said—" I leaned over and gently set my handbag on the counter. Not slammed, placed, with intent. "Listen, baby girl, my life is not a vacation. It's a full-time job with no paycheck and some truly bad benefits. Now show me what my son's been signing." She turned the screen toward me, clicking like her keyboard was made of eggshells. Then there it was. The document. The power of attorney. The name Bernice Wilson. The signature, supposedly mine. Only it wasn't. See, I've been signing my name since I was old enough to cash a check. My B always has a swirl at the top. Always. This question mark looked like it was printed off a law school brochure. Clean, clinical, cold. "I didn't sign that," I said. I understand, Sharon muttered, glancing down, but everything's already filed. Filed? Baby, that word's starting to sound like betrayal dressed in khakis. You handed over access to my life, my money, my decisions to someone just because he smiled and said, "That's my mama." She stammered something about formal procedure and attorney review, but I wasn't listening anymore. I stood tall, fixed my coat, and looked her in the eye. You gave my son the keys to my life, and if you think I'm just going to walk out of here and let that ride, then you clearly don't know what the name Wilson stands for. I left, head high, steps firm, anger under control, but only just. Back home, I didn't turn on the TV, didn't grab my prayer beads. I opened the old photo album instead, not because I wanted comfort. I wasn't in the mood for sweet. I needed truth. I flipped through the pages looking for the boy I once raised, that bright-eyed kid in footy pajamas, that boy who cried when I held him too tight, or not tight enough, and I kept asking myself the same thing. When did he turn into someone I'd need to protect myself from? That's when the door opened. Tina walked in, alone. No Jerome. She was carrying grocery bags like she just got back from a spa retreat. Bottles of wine peeking out the top, like invitations to a party I wasn't invited to. "I'll just leave these here," she muttered, dropping the bags like trash at the doorstep. "Where's Jerome?" I asked. "He had business. And you're just here, alone?" She rolled her eyes. "What am I, 12? I don't need a chaperone." She disappeared into the bathroom without another word, shower on, attitude steaming. I turned back to the living room, and there it was again, her purse, open, right there on the couch like it had something to say. This time I didn't hesitate. Inside, nestled between lipstick and grocery receipts, was my passport, my passport. And tucked inside, another will. Same layout, same fake smile on paper, same slick signature trying to pass as mine. But this one, dated 6 months ago. 6 months. That means while I was scrubbing floors and folding their laundry, they were already drawing the blueprint for my goodbye. Not with hugs, with ink. Everything, house, bank account, insurance, all marked for Jerome, and a clause at the bottom that made my stomach turn, non-contestable by other family members. Like I'm just a formality. Like my death was penciled in between brunch and billing. I didn't scream, didn't throw a vase, didn't storm the house. I folded that paper, and I didn't put it in my purse, didn't hide it under a mattress. I slid it into the old box under my bed, the one filled with Joe's letters, my wedding ring, my strength. Because that box, that's where I keep the parts of me I only pull out when it's time to fight back. Honey, I just laced up my gloves. What's next is personal. And when a mother fights for her dignity, she doesn't throw pillows. She aims for the truth. Ever heard the sound of something breaking inside a woman, not with a snap, but with silence, like every light inside her just dimmed at once? That was me on day 3. I sat in my favorite chair, staring into nothing. The kettle was whistling its heart out in the kitchen, and I didn't move an inch. I wasn't frozen, I was finished, not destroyed, done. With the pretending, with the pleasing, with the waiting. That morning, I didn't pray. I made a phone call. To Ruby. Now, Ruby ain't just an old friend. She's a one-woman wrecking crew in a wide-brim funeral hat. She's buried 3 husbands and made a tax agent cry during an audit, with just her eyes. When she picked up the phone, I didn't even say hello. "I need you," I said, "and bring your claws." There was a pause. "Bernice? Baby, what happened?" "My son's trying to steal my life, and I'm done handing it over." She showed up an hour later, clutching a black folder, a pocketbook full of legal know-how, and a look that said, "We about to fix this today." Walked right in, sniffed the air like a bloodhound, and said, "Smells like betrayal with a side of entitlement." Yep, he's been here. We spread everything out on the kitchen table. Screenshots, bank statements, fake wills, forged papers, my passport, my life. Ruby went through it all like a lawyer prepping for closing arguments. Fingers tapping, lips pursed, her glasses sliding halfway down her nose. "All right, Queen," she said. "Here's what we're gonna do. Tomorrow we go see my ex-husband. He's a legal consultant now. Then we file with the police, then we get your bank involved. You've got a case, a big one, the kind that gets folks to apologize in court." "I don't want revenge, Ruby," I said quietly. "Oh, you do. You just don't know it yet." That night they came back, Jerome and Tina, laughing, like they hadn't spent the past week mapping out my exit from my own life. Jerome opened the door, dropped his bag, and called out, "Mom, you home? Please tell me you didn't make that mystery soup again." I stepped out, robe on, no makeup, no smile. "We need to talk." He looked at me like I was a pop-up ad, something to close and move past. Not now. Yes, now. Ruby was already in the kitchen, sitting tall with a pen, tapping rhythmically on the table, like a countdown before judgment. Tina walked in behind him, folding her arms like she was preparing to pray. Lord knows it would have been the first time. "What's going on?" she asked, voice sweet as vinegar. I stood my ground, not as a victim, as the mother, as the woman who had cooked, cleaned, sacrificed, stitched his graduation suit by hand, and now stood watching her own child turn into a stranger. "You forged my will," I said. Jerome froze. "You took control of my retirement account. You went through my passport. You made plans for what would happen when I wasn't here, while I was standing right in front of you." He exhaled slowly. No denial, no surprise. Just that look people wear when they realize the game is up. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "You're getting older. We were just trying to—" "Help?" I cut him off. "You called me an old lady. You tried to take what I built and wrap it up like a gift to yourselves. That's not help. That's greed in church shoes." Ruby stood. "And since we're being honest," she said, cool and calm, "here's your copy of the police report. Here are the witness statements, and this," she tapped the folder, "is the official request for signature verification. You can stay calm, Jerome, or you can start rehearsing your courtroom voice." For the first time ever, he looked at me, not down on me, not past me, at me, like he finally saw what I was made of. And I turned around and walked back to my room, but not to hide, to pack. Because this game, it was over. This is the moment. Everything you've been waiting for, right here, don't blink, because what comes next is the final blow. One move, one strike, and this lioness is ready to roar. 2 weeks later, I sat in court, not as a victim, not as someone broken, as a woman who finally remembered who she was. I wore my best dress, not flashy, but clean, pressed, proud. Jerome? He showed up in the same suit I bought him for his first real job. I remember him saying, "Thanks, Mom. This suit's gonna change my life." Well, honey, it did, just not the way he planned. The judge, a black woman, older, seasoned, and the moment she looked at me over her glasses, I didn't see pity. I saw respect. "Mrs. Wilson," she said, "you claim this signature on the documents is not yours?" "Yes, ma'am," I said, loud and clear. "That signature is a lie, and I'm not here out of anger. I'm here because I'm alive. And while I'm alive, no one gets to bury my name next to my savings." Jerome's lawyer, bless his heart, was sweating bullets, trying to speak over me, offering to settle, saying family matters like these are better resolved privately. The judge didn't flinch. She raised one brow and said, "Do you often resolve family matters by forging legal documents?" That courtroom fell silent like someone pulled the air out the room. Fast, precise, direct hit. The ruling came quicker than I expected. The signature, void. The power of attorney, canceled. The will, fake. The case, referred for investigation. Now listen to me real good. I didn't go back to that house. Yes, legally, it was still mine. Every floorboard, every nail, every inch of that place held my fingerprints. But you know what was no longer there? Love. I listed it, sold it, for more than it was worth. And then I packed up what mattered, and I left, moved into a little coastal home where Joe and I once dreamed of retiring, a place where I wake up to ocean breeze, not cold shoulders, where the floors don't creak with resentment, just rhythm, where I hear waves, not whispered judgment, where my laughter fills the room, because no one's there to shame it. Now I bake pies, I go to church, I dance barefoot on my porch like it's 1965, and I've got no bills, no burden, and no one stealing my air. Strangers wave at me, and mean it. No tricks, no traps, no strings attached to my smile. "And my son?" he called. Once. I didn't answer, because the day a man calls his mother an old woman like she's furniture, he no longer deserves to hear her laugh. I didn't destroy my family. I walked out of the cage they built for me. I didn't seek revenge. I reclaimed my name. I'm not just some old lady. I'm Bernice Wilson. And baby, I'm still alive.